Hi, I'm Christina and welcome to Gussets and Godets podcast, episode number 1, which will be my little crafting confessional of all the crafting bits and bobs that I get up to, so that I have somewhere fun to share them. I'd like to start today with what I'm wearing, which I framed incredibly badly, but anyway. So I am wearing, my knitwear is the Salal Cardigan. This lovely lacy yoke, which I knitted and wore all summer. It's been super handy to carry about with me. It's designed by Andi Satterlund, and I've knitted it in, just gonna read off here, I knitted it in Woolstock worsted Bluesky Fibres. Yep. Colour 1303 Highland fleece. So I'm just looking in my little book here because that's the yarn. Whoop, hello. And when I do a project, hello, I make little pages in this little book. And then I print these Polaroids, which they just come out, and I put them in with these little paper corners, just so I have a record of what I've done. And it's kind of like Ravelry, but on paper. And maybe it's just me, but there's something so nice about having that tactile, like, real feel. So it's super lovely to have, and I do all sorts of projects in there. I put my socks as well, and this one's waiting for its picture. Grey day socks. You know, whenever I make anything, see that one I haven't even put pictures in yet because I haven't worn that garment actually. But yeah, I put in the little papers from the little yarn ball bands. Anyway, I thought someone might like to see that, and yeah, if you've got any questions about it, let me know. But that's what I do, just so that I have a little record, and sometimes I get to do like cute little, oh, this is my favourite page. Ooh, hello. So those were a Christmas in July sock, and I did kind of a Christmas tree, and then those were for a friend, and they were birthday socks. I did a birthday. Anyway, I can write notes to myself for later, so the needles that I use and things, anything that I think might be handy. So yeah, that's that. Also the dress I made as well, and the dress is a Rue Dress by Colette patterns, and it has like a really short little sleeve, and I love this little piping on the little sides, and then they have these little pleats as well, and I thought so lovely. The fabric of this one I got from Spoonflower, and they printed it, and it's not a white. I don't know if you can really see 100% on there. It's a cream, so is the cardigan. It's an off-white. I just thought it's less harsh, and I really like cream and off-white, so there we go. I'm going to start with a couple of knitting projects. I have a lot of knitting projects I've completed recently, but I'm not going to show you them all because that would just be silly. So I'm going to start with socks. Socks, I love knitting socks. I started knitting them beginning of the year. When I started watching podcasts, then I never knit a sock, and I just saw all of these fantastic podcasters knitting beautiful socks. I mean, really beautiful socks. I've never knit in the round, magic loop. I'd never done a heel or a toe. Well, you wouldn't if you hadn't knit a sock, would you? Anyway, it was a new project to me. And these are my most recent ones. So let me show you. I have sock blockers. socks look so beautiful once they've been blocked. I know a lot of people don't bother. Why would you not bother when they look this gorgeous? So these are the Strawberry Field by Amber Crawley. I'm just going to zoom in on there, see if that works. That's the pattern. And it's knit in Herbstblatt Regina, Rosehips a red colourway, and the base is her Hazel soft sock. I thought these would be really difficult because of the holes, the eyelets, but they weren't. They obviously were more difficult than a vanilla sock, I'm not gonna lie, but I got into the swing of them. I copied this idea of the combination of the pattern and the yarn from Jules, who is So Sweet Violet, and she made these and I loved them, and I just thought that this yarn with the pattern was just beautiful, like really incredible. So I had to do it. The heel is not from the pattern. The heel is a Fish Lips Kiss heel, and the toe is the toe from Hermione's Everyday Socks. So generally I do this combination with any sock pattern that I do, because I find I remember them, I've memorised the numbers, and I just really enjoy it. I like not having to look at a pattern for them, and the Fish Lips Kiss heel in particular is it's a really, really nice knit. I really enjoy it, and it just super quick. I also knit my socks always cuff down, just in case you're interested. So those really sweet socks. These may be my favourite socks, I must say, that I've knit this year. And they're super squishy, and the yarn is just so beautiful. And occasionally you get like a teeny bit of black, like the tiniest, and I really like that. It's all tonal and a little bit speckly, beautiful. Okay, moving on to the next ones. The next ones I finished are a Christmas sock, and they were for the festive sock along held by Amy Florence of the Stranded podcast, which I never even got round to posting. I knit them, and then I'm really rubbish on Ravelry. I kind of use Ravelry like a library. I don't really so much use the function of the social side, which I should, and I will. I can hear you shouting at me, use Ravelry, I will, I do. Anyway, these are the Evergreen socks by Maddeline Gannon. I hope you can see here. So it's got these eyelet details which make the trees, which was so nice. And then I did the Fish Lips Kiss heel and the Hermione's Everyday sock pattern toe. And the yarn is Cascade Heritage in the pine colourway. Anyway, there we go, that's them. Amy Florence made them first, another copycat, and I really loved them, so I thought I'd give them a go. And there was a discount code from the designer if you knit these for the festive sock along. So I took advantage of that little cheeky discount. Great, and the last pair of socks I'm going to show you are my most recent ones, and they still have not been woven in the ends. Okay, so take a look at these bad boys. Ignore that part. So these are Mercury Socks by Kim Drotar? Butchering the name, so sorry. And you will notice I did a heel flap and gusset. First time I've ever done that. I knit these when I was on holiday. The yarn is Wendy Rome 4-ply in the 2001 Rydal colourway. And I had a lot of time on holiday when I was in Greece for a week, and I thought that it would be a good time to do the heel flap and gusset because I was not distracted by anything, and it went really well. It wasn't as difficult as I thought, although it wasn't intuitive because I've never done it before, obviously. So I had to keep referring back to the pattern, and I make extensive notes. I don't think I've got my notepad. No, I'll show you that another time. I keep a little notepad and then I jot down and I tally what I've done, and that way if I make a mistake, and I make a lot of mistakes, then I can just go back row by row and see what I've done wrong and where I need to pull back to. I knit these, I would ordinarily knit 68 stitches in my pattern, in my socks, cuff down. These, the pattern was either, I believe, 60 or 74, 72. Anyway, there was a big jump, and one was too small and one was too big. So I went with the too big one, and what I should have done was step down a needle size. Well, you know, go down a little bit on the needle size, but I didn't, and they fit well. But because it's quite lacy and it looks a little bit cabley, I just wish that it stretched out a bit more across the legs so that you'd really see the holy bits. But other than that, I think next time I will knit them at the same 72, I think it is 72 stitches, and just go down to a 2mm needle instead of the 2.25 which I usually use. And it's a much longer leg than I would. My legs are usually around about here, so it's a longer one, but I did this one as described by the pattern, as instructed. So yeah, there we go. I do have them both, and I'm going to block them at some point. I really like them. I haven't worn any of my socks yet because I wanted to take part in the Box of Socks Cal that all the podcasters are taking part in, and I wanted to make the 12 pairs of socks at least. So I've started, and I have done one a month. I do have a couple of other pairs of socks. I didn't know whether I should wear them or not. I know some people have, some people haven't. I thought that for Advent I could every day or every other day have a lovely hand knit pair of socks to wear. That would be really fun. So yay. Alright, and moving on to the other knitting projects that I have on the go. I usually only have one project, but I received the yarn for this gift that I'm knitting, and I had to just start it. So this is a scarf which I'm knitting in the round so that it's really spongy and really warm, and I cast on 64 stitches, and I'm knitting it on 4mm 16-inch circulars, higher sharps. And this has been really fun. And I've only been doing this for 2-3 days, just at work and on the way to work and whenever I've got some free time at lunch. Any of you Harry Potter fans out there may recognise the colour scheme as a Slippering Scarf. So I ordered a little Slytherin. It's like an adhesive, but I will not use the adhesive. I will stick it to maybe a piece of felt or something, because I don't want to just glue it onto my knitted surface, and then I will hand stitch it from the inside, and I'll do some tassels. I have most conveniently forgotten what this yarn is totally. I mean, I have the two colours here, which I ordered from Wool Warehouse. I can't remember what they are, but I'll leave all the details of all of my yarns and things. This is meant to be a it is a merino, and it's meant to be kind of an anti-scratch, anti-tickle, I think. It's not attached, and it's not rough to me, but some of the girls at work thought that it wasn't very soft. So now I'm a bit concerned that the little boy it's for, who's 8, maybe he won't like it. I will wash and block it and see how it comes out, and if it's too scratchy, then I'll keep it and I'll knit it again for him in something softer. I didn't want to knit it in acrylic. Since knitting this year, since it's become a full-time hobby and not just an occasional blanket square, I really want to work with good quality yarns and fibres, and I really love wool, and so I don't want to work with acrylic. I'm not going to love making it, so is there any point? I may as well just go and buy an acrylic scarf as a gift. So anyway, that is my thinking behind that, and the details of the yarn will be below. I haven't used the pattern, I just started going. Yeah, so that's that one. And then my last knitting project, which I'm going to show you a picture of the pattern because it's not quite finished yet. So it's the Money Honey Turban by Poison Girls and Amy, and she is the designer, and that's the turban. So focus. So she was doing a knit along, which I don't think I'm going to finish in time, to be honest, but never mind. So I've nearly finished. One of the ties is totally done. One of them is, I think I've got 3 more inches to go. And then you tie a knot somewhere here, and then that'll be a turban of some description, hopefully. I've knit it in, what did I use? Maddeline Tosh Merino Light in the Tart colourway, and that's 100% merino, the yarn, and it's a single ply, and I really like it. It's a little bit splitty, would be my only negative thing to say, but it just means that I need to really pay attention, which I do anyway when I'm knitting. I'm not very good at not looking. On that scarf I can, because it's quite a heavyweight yarn, and on a fingering weight, which this is, I'm not very good at it. And oh, the little bag, I know people do like bags. This is just a little bag that I made with some scraps. I wanted to make a larger project bag, and this was what was left. The fabric is the Rifle Paper Company, is the brand. I don't know what this particular print is called, but this is just my handbag knitting, so whatever I'm knitting in, I put it in one of these little drawstring bags, and it's almost too small for a one skein project, but it just means that everything's really squished quite nicely inside, and I can shove it in any of my handbags. For me, works well. Great, so that is that's all. I'm just kind of looking here because I've spread them all out nicely, all the projects. I'm going to show you another little project that I'm working on, which is embroidery. So I want to fill all of that empty space with different, I think just embroidery hoop projects. So that's an embroidery, and that's a doily, which I made. And I have no use for a doily at all. So I thought it looked quite nice, just stretched in there. It's difficult to see, but never mind. It is pretty. So the next one that I'm working on, I've got the pattern here as well, which I printed out. It's by the Thread Folk, and this one is Floral Fields. So it's her artist series. So the Thread Folk It's the lady that makes the embroidery patterns, and she takes artwork from other artists. So this one is Lauren Merrick. So Lauren Merrick will have, I believe, drawn this, and Thread Folk will have made it into a pattern. I used the colours that were advised, and I just thought it was adorable. So it's, I don't even know if you can see, it uses Lazy Daisy stitches and satin stitch a little bit and French knots. Yeah, just see if I can find it. So it's two people that are going to walk up the curly whirly path all the way to their house, which I've conveniently cut off in my embroidery hoop. But it's been a nice project. Embroidery takes me a long time. It's the changing of the colours really, I think, that does it. But it's so pretty and colourful, and I just thought that kind of, whoops, knocking, oh dear, oh, Christmas tree. Yeah, so I thought that would look nice on the wall, keeping it so professional over here. That's all I have to say about that one really. And I'm going to move on to my my last project that I'm working on at the moment, which is a sewing project. And this is the pattern, and the pattern is Simplicity 3343, and it's for this suit. It's a 1950s vintage pattern, and I keep all of my vintage patterns in a little plastic sleeve, and then here is a an acid-free card backing. They're for comic books, I get them on Amazon. I keep my pattern in the back and the envelope in the front, so it just stops any more of these bits going. I didn't realise when I started making this how much of a time investment it would be. I've made jackets and coats and suits before, and I work in the fashion industry, so I know that sewing is a time investment when you want to do things properly. I know it's nothing compared to knitting. I tend to knit smaller things, and I tend to sew garments, full-size adult me-size garments. But the deadline for me wearing this garment is coming up, so I'm going to Paris to see the Dior exhibition in a week and a half, and this needs to get made. So I do have the body with the lovely little pockets made. So difficult to show. Little collars there. And that does not look like a huge amount of work, I am aware. But the work is, it's on the inside. So all of the canvassing is all stitched in by hand, all through the back. Every piece is backed with a muslin. Then we've got a main body canvas, a chest canvas and some demet, and then there's a shoulder pad, and it's lined, obviously, because you would not want to be seeing, I mean, I would quite like to see that, but I don't want it falling apart. So it will be lined. In order to complete this garment, I followed a craftsy course, which is by Alison Smith, and it's called Structure and Shape. And I really like the course. I like her style. It's really conversational and easy to follow, and I like the way that craftsy works, where you can rewind little portions so you can keep rewatching. So yeah, hopefully in a week I'll have a suit, of which I've only got a body of a jacket at the moment, so fingers crossed. Well, those were my projects that I'm working on for now, and I hope you have enjoyed seeing a little peek into my crafting world. And yeah, I have to say something about social media. So you can find me on Instagram and on Ravelry as Gussets and Godets. And where else? Yeah, that's kind of it. I also have a blog, which is gussetsandgodets.com, but that is less of the crafting and more just me showing my final projects, mostly sewing based projects. So I always take nice pictures so I can put them in my book, and I put them on my blog as well. So that's more of the vintage styling rather than the construction, but I do get from time to time little bits in there. I don't know how often I'm going to do the blogging, the podcasting. I don't do so much blogging at the moment because I just don't make the larger garments. I make small little crafty things. So hopefully I'll be back soon with some more small bits and bobs. So thanks for tuning in, and subscribe if I can get this on YouTube. There'll be a subscribe somewhere. And the show notes will be down below in the drop down bar. So see you soon. Thanks for tuning in. Bye.